Hello, and welcome to Weed and Grub.
I was going to ask you if you break them in half to share or if you just take bites and pass it around, but you already took a bite, so I don't even have a question anymore.
Uh-huh. I eat cookies like Cookie Monster. Nom, 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 nom.
You kind of do.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you even took another bite before sharing it.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll try mine then.
It's-
When I share, I break a cookie in half.
I'm sorry.
And take a bite of my half and then pass it along. And
Oh.
you bite your half and then hand the other half to the new biter.
I mean, I wasn't really intending on sharing at all, but there you go.
Shout out to your friend Jordan. Shout out to Milk Cookie. Shout out to Christina Tosi. These look bomb.
This is the greatest. Okay. I'm sorry I've got my mouth so full of cookie that I can't even talk. But Jordan, who has been a friend for a long time, just this week was like, hey, I want to send you something. Look for a delivery. And just this afternoon, right before I was about to come over here, a package arrived on my doorstep, and it's a mixed tin of these milk cookies. I'm having the blueberry cream.
Mm-hmm.
Very satisfying. What are you having?
The one you're about to try is cornflake chocolate chip marshmallow.
Oh, fuck. Oh, my God.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
These are awesome.
They're
They're the perfect thickness, the perfect softness, the perfect sugariness, the perfect crispy around the edginess.
They've got like a crunch that feels like a sparkle in my mouth. I don't know if that makes sense, but like it's a light crunch. Even though they're chewy, they've also got a crunch, which is crazy. I don't know if you can hear it because I'm eating so close to the microphone. Sorry.
I'm trying not to, but I'm also drooling. So if you hear a and a chomp, it's because I'm drooling, chewing, and trying to do this pod at the same time.
Thank you, Jordan. This was the fucking greatest. Like, what a weird time in the world. And to just, have cookies sent to you from a friend from afar, from New Jersey.
Yeah. Oh, which we'll get into briefly in
Yep.
a minute.
Yeah. Thank you, Jordan. This is truly wonderful and has brightened my spirits and is making me, chow down.
I love when somebody famous lives up to the hype. Mm-hmm. Christina Tosi, for me, is that person. Like Milk Bar, their cakes, their cookies, everything about her baking skills and what these taste like. I'm like, oh, you're the real deal. There's a reason people fuck with you.
Are we putting it in the air to have Christina on the pod?
Yes,
Okay.
Of course. Let's go.
Awesome.
I think she would do it.
I think so.
Her place is right by not a place that I live, so don't even consider Googling that to see where I live and how close her place is to me.
Wait, is she LA? I thought she was New York.
She has spots in LA that are open, and the line is usually around the corner.
Oh.
But right now, they're only to the corner because of COVID.
Right. So you can just order them online and get them delivered, which is way better.
Yo.
I mean, this is the world that we live in. I've now had like these incredible cookies and fucking Katz's Deli Reuben sandwiches shipped to my door. Like there are some amazing ways to enjoy all of the great food out there that doesn't have to do with leaving your house.
I don't want to say much more on that because I have some birthday things coming up for some people where I'm sending them stuff.
Okay.
Why'd I even say anything? What an idiot.
Super weird.
Hey, what a fucking dumb fuck, Mike.
You're like a super bad liar.
Yeah.
You're like just outing yourself before anything has even happened.
That was dumb. Hey, everyone. Sorry about your time and your ears. Like, that'd be a good... that'd be like a good Law and Order character. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he didn't, but may have been around.
It's like the guy in Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar who just keeps like giving up information before he's even asked, which is like, everyone, please watch Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. I want to own it. I want to see it 1,000 more times. But isn't it? It's Wayans. It's
Damon Wayans Jr.
Damon Wayans Jr. Yeah, and he's like, he just keeps giving himself up before anyone even asks him. And he's like, damn it.
Yeah.
Giving information out.
I'm always impressed with somebody with such nice arms is also funny.
Yes.
You know?
Very, very, very handsome and very funny.
Yeah, I was like,
Yes.
damn. I don't want to say the Tom Brady of comedy because that has deep, not true connotations. But when somebody is like that total package, and it's like,
Right.
fuck, like John Hamm is hilarious, Damon Wayans Jr. is hilarious,
Yeah.
and these are like, they're hot dudes who happen to also be funny. I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah, arguably like the hottest. Also fucking, yeah, like hot. There's that whole idea. I watched this amazing TikTok, Lena, I can't remember her name, Lena Dong, I think. But she like is always making fun of the guys who say that hot girls aren't funny, or hot girls aren't good at math, or hot girls aren't this or that. And she's just great. And she always puts the lie to it. And I'm like, yeah, there are plenty of hot girls who are like super fucking funny. They're not. You can be like, the idea that you have to be some kind of like weirdo to be funny is for the most part true, but there are also very fucking hot people who are very fucking funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Shout out hot people who are funny. Fuck all of you.
Oh, what
How
up?
dare you?
What's going on, Mary Jane? What up, Mary Jane?
How's it going, Mike?
Good. Welcome to Weed and Grub, everyone. This is a podcast by two super hot people with perfect bodies about cannabis, culture, cooking, comedy,
Calling shit out.
and cookies.
cookies.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We're so hot that we're just going to eat a rack of cookies this
Listen,
entire up.
I'm just stuffed another one in my mouth, so. I don't care. It's a podcast.
Yo, speaking of TikTok, have you seen the TikToks going around about the gateway experience?
Oh.
How there was a CIA document uncovered back from 1983 about the gateway experience, and it's in a Vice article now. Like, it's made its way to mainstream media because TikTok is like a newsworthy place where people are uncovering things and getting
Yes.
the word out. It's very cool. And the gateway experience, in a very broad, vague sense, again, because I think that's my MO for this episode, is that they were trying to figure out a way to combine your left and right hemisphere of your brain into just one working organism that works in a harmony with the goal of kind of escaping this reality and being able to astral project yourself to other places, because one of the things tying you into this meat sack that you're in is how everything is tied to different places inside your brain to work as one machine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can combine all of that into a oneness, you could potentially cook out of here and go explore.
Right.
And that's a CIA funded program that has just been uncovered and they've made headway in. And it's all because of TikTok that I learned about it. You were nodding at me like, shut up, dude. You nodded at me like Dr. Phil judging a 13-year-old for stealing at the grocery store. Holy shit.
It's just so funny because you're like, it's a CIA program that I learned about on TikTok. And I'm like, I think that's actually like Buddhist principles that have been around for thousands of years.
No. It was a 14-year-old in Savannah, Georgia, who has their finger on the pulse of CIA commentary.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Like the attain complete wholeness with the universe so that you actually escape your sort of physical shell is like this thousands of years of, meditative practices, and it exists in so many different realms. And it's like, of course, also a CIA program that they want to activate for whatever fucking CIA purposes that they have that you learned about on TikTok. But that's fucking awesome. It makes me think too about I was just reading on Vice about lucid dreaming and how, all of these like cool, weird new brain hacks that was out as we enter this realm of like where everyone is truly like meditation actually does things and works and changes and remaps your neural pathways. And there are things from inner space that we can figure out through like just all of the connectedness in science. And there was this thing that just happened where they did here, let me just pull it up because it was so fucking neat. Scientists basically have achieved real-time communication with lucid dreamers. So they got a bunch of test subjects, they put them to sleep, they put electrodes on their faces to make sure that they were in REM, and they had a pre-approved method of communication. So when you were in the REM sleep, they could ask you a question, and if you could hear them and you were lucid dreaming, you could answer them correctly. So they got people who were in that dream time to communicate with them in real time.
Wow. Wow. I would love to know what they were asking, what they were finding. And because I've always wanted to lucid dream, and I've heard people say like, I can do it, I've done it, and I can like control my dreams and fly. And I've had some instances where I've like been in and outside and aware, but don't think I've lucid dreamt before.
Right. Well, I think that the people who like actively they want to learn how to lucid dream, you can teach yourself. You can actually like do certain things to get better at it. And I've definitely had some lucid dreams. Like I've had a dream where I'm controlling what I do, and then I've woken up and then I've gone back to sleep and gone back into that dream and continued it. I had a really cool one recently, actually. I was in Iceland.
I don't want to hear your
hostel.
dream.
Okay.
Don't tell me about your dream.
But in this, excuse me, in this Vice article, they were saying that it was mostly like simple math. Like they were saying, can you subtract 6 from 8? And then they would answer 2 by moving their eyes correctly. And then they would ask them again, and they would give them the same answers. They were just reinforcing the fact that, yes, they were communicating with these test subjects.
Wow.
Yes, they were answering them from inside their dreams.
So you could be the tip of the mountain and you could be the glacier underwater all at once. That's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Damn. Especially, I love that right now this is all happening because as we're getting cookies from your friend in New Jersey and enjoying them, the government is trying to escape this planet,
right,
in as many ways as possible, whether it's through a oneness of your mind, a lucid dreaming communication, Mars colonization, like whatever it is that we can get the fuck out of here right now. The government is like, yo, we need to figure this shit out.
I think we all need to figure this shit out.
We do. It's
important. We all need to figure it out. We're all feeling very trapped and very weird. And like, I've definitely been finding that, trying to meditate and become at peace with just how things are has been very fucking helpful. It's also incredibly difficult. And, I think there are lots of programs that want to figure out the crazy thing is that there are like, government and regulatory agency run programs that are like, we need to figure out how meditation works in order to create a more efficient workforce, which is like.
Right. So you can take 10 minutes out of your lunch break to
meditate and then go back to stocking shelves better.
Right.
Which is,
that's what they'll use it for.
Truly fucking goes against the principle of meditating.
They will use mental health as a way to monetize more of you.
It's upsetting
Yeah.
that is actually the truth in some cases, but obviously not all of them. And obviously there are plenty of places that just want us all to be better and happier. And so to that end, actually, Jordan also sent me an app called Binaural Beats, which is helping me meditate. Do you know about Binaural Beats?
I know about it because you said you sent me the app, but I haven't opened it. I haven't downloaded it. I haven't read anything. So no.
Okay, so basically it's a sleep and meditation aid, and it's basically 2 frequencies that play in your ears, and they're different, but you're hearing them at the same time. And they can help you with anxiety and just like deepening your meditation and sleeping in some cases. It's really neat.
I love this. I love how everything we're talking about at the top here is all connected to like
being well
or
being better.
And being one.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
Being
calmer. I mean, I hit a level of burnout this last week where I was like, whoa, everything kind of came screeching to a halt. And I was like, what is that about? It's not just about me. It's about sort of like a cosmic global thing that's happening in addition to all of my personal stuff.
Yeah.
My friend Natalie calls it COVID plus. She's like, there's COVID and then there's whatever you have going on.
Yeah.
And those 2
the
things.
Streaming service.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It's a lot. So yeah, I just hit that and I was like, okay, just add whatever you can to it. The cookies fucking help greatly. The binaural beats help, watching a great show, eating some fucking edibles, treating yourself to a nice dinner that you cooked, all the things.
All the things. Speaking of, I wanted to shout out PAX before we get into the news, because if you're going to find places, people, and things that work for you, especially because I'm fucking burnt out too. If anybody has any suggestions out there for how to make a candle that has 4 ends so that we can burn them all at once, because right now I'm only burning 2. I think we can find a candle that is crossed with another candle and burn even more candle.
Please don't go harder, go less. You're recording this podcast naked.
Yeah. So what?
I should point out.
Yeah. I'm in my apartment. I'm allowed to record naked.
You're not really naked. But
no, but I don't have a shirt on.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm recording without a shirt on today. What about what? What? So what?
I just want you to relax. I don't want you to burn candles at 4 ends.
I know.
I want you to burn it just at 1 end.
My chest hair is usually straight, but I'm so stressed out that it's curly right now.
Have you heard that it's a trend right now with like bored people who have chest hair to carve shit into it? Have you seen that?
What do you mean,
trend?
like swastikas?
No, like Batman signals and shit.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. maybe swastikas if you're that kind of person, which
Probably.
go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shout out PAX because they've just launched with Oakland Extracts a PAX Era Pod, which honors Black History Month, and the proceeds are benefiting Supernova Women, which is a group that empowers people of color to become self-sufficient shareholders in the cannabis industry.
That's really great.
It's fucking cool. So
Very
Oakland
powerful.
Extracts is a legacy-owned brand in Oakland, I imagine, and they've just launched this limited edition PAX that's available on Ease, and 25% of the proceeds are going directly to Supernova Women.
Good. That's a nice amount of proceeds.
Yep, it's awesome, and they've got the strain is sorta citrus kush, and it's a live resin sauce, so it'll be super flavorful and delicious with all those yummy terps. And I really want to try one, and PAX is fucking awesome. So
Nice.
cool job, you guys.
Very nice. Yeah. Good people doing good things, as
right.
always. That's what I want to co-sign. Are you telling me I need to put a shirt on? Is that what you were
No.
bringing up? You want me to put a shirt on?
No.
3 shirts? A hoodie? A raincoat?
No.
No?
I'm sorry I called you out for that.
I don't care. I also just realized that my shoulders are up around my ears as we record because that's where I'm at with
Yeah,
everything.
I know.
So, maybe I'll drop my shoulders a bit and take a deep breath and celebrate New Jersey and just enjoy these victories,
Yes.
Yeah.
Enjoy the victories.
Why don't you take your shirt off if you're going to put me on blast?
Listen, if I'm taking my shirt off, I'm going to be fully naked. That's how that's truly how I wish I could be at all times, everywhere, all the time. I actually walk out into the patio that I have off my house, off my kitchen in the morning. Almost every morning I go out there naked.
Truly?
Truly.
Do you sun your taint?
No. I just go out to just like get the breeze in my hair and, just be naked.
And
like,
on
I
your
just,
tits?
Yep.
Yeah, it does feel good. A breeze going across your nipples feels amazing.
It feels great. And it's just, like a moment to be, fully at one with myself and my surroundings. And, Archie Moo likes to go out and sniff around and do possum patrol and water the plants. And I like to stand with my cup of coffee naked in my little sunny patio.
Damn, that's some goddess shit right there.
If my neighbors ever see me, I'm sorry about it. But yeah, I feel like totally entitled to. I don't think anyone can see me. That's why I do it.
Yeah, well, I did see that one tweet that said you're either the neighbor who sees people naked or you're the naked neighbor. There's no in between.
I'm the naked neighbor.
I am too.
That's why we get along.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh, that sounds nice. So one of these days, you're going to have a oneness brain with a mouthful of cookies.
Yep.
Being asked deep REM questions by the CIA while you're fully naked.
Yes.
On
I
the
feel like
beach.
this may have already happened.
Is that the dream that I squashed when I was like, I don't want to hear your fucking dream?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like this may have already happened, and I just forgot about it because the CIA did like a flashbang in my fucking brain or something. And,
Yeah.
I feel like there are things that have happened in my life that I just truly have like put away because they happened either, in some like weird environment or, on a trip or whatever. There's definitely stuff in my brain that is like, yeah, some weird, deep stuff for sure.
I know we have some really cool announcements coming up that we'll get into, but I will also put in the air with Christina Tosi that we should talk to a ghost hunter or a hypnosis expert who can put me under or you under and see if we have met some ghosts that have been blocked from our minds. I don't want to hear the deep angry at my family stuff from a hypnosis person. I want somebody to hypnotize me and remind me that I saw Bigfoot. That's the kind of hypnosis I want.
Well, I feel like when we had our friend Lauren Hurt on here and she was talking about some experiences where she really felt like she'd connected with people who had passed, that you related to the way she had felt and that you felt like you might have had similar experiences, but that you couldn't necessarily recall them at the moment.
I couldn't tap in at all.
Yeah.
At all. Yeah. Let's get some cool folks on here who can put me under.
Yeah.
And then I'll
I mean, I feel pretty open about talking about some of the stuff that I've had when people have passed where I've like just experienced something in nature that I feel like was very connected to that person's death. Like I always think about when my dad died and I saw a humpback whale at a very strange time of year when there are normally not humpback whales in Newfoundland. And it was like a really amazing experience that felt very connected to my dad. So
that's special.
It's all there, it's all, everything's connected.
You want to get to our news?
Yes.
It's huge.
Yes.
It's big.
It is big.
It's juicy.
It is juicy. It's that,
New Jersey legalized marijuana, everyone.
Finally.
The governor on Monday of this week signed 3 bills that effectively permit and regulate the use of recreational cannabis in New Jersey. At long last.
Finally.
It's been in the works for a while.
New York, where you at?
Yeah, New York fucking...
Slipping.
That whole situation is...
I don't want to talk shit on New York.
Okay.
Let's celebrate New Jersey.
So the legislation signed on Monday decriminalizes the use or possession of up to 6 ounces of cannabis and ends an era of disproportionate arrests in communities of color. And I was just writing a piece about Al Harrington, NBA star Al Harrington, who grew up in Orange, New Jersey. And he was saying as a kid, he was fucking terrified of cannabis because he watched his community decimated by the fucking arrests, stop and frisks, people landing in jail for like a nickel bag of weed. Ruins your fucking life. You know, you come out with a record. It's crazy.
Devastating.
The damage that has been done. And so this hopefully will work to repair some of the damages. And the money that's going to roll in is the story that I'm reading from is in the New York Times. And it says that the new industry, cannabis industry in New Jersey will generate about $126 million a year.
I can't even picture that. I
You're
don't even
gonna
know
fix
what
a lot
that
of
looks
potholes.
like. Hell yeah, they are. Potholes. Nice, Mary Jane. Yo, we out here. Well, let's shout out our lawyer friend of New Jersey.
That's right. Blaze Responsibly, who you actually met in Clubhouse, right?
Yep.
So Shirali Patel has Blaze Responsibly, which is a group where she advocates for access to cannabis. She had a family member who was struggling to get access to medical cannabis, and so she became an advocate. She's friends with our friend Christina Bucola. We're going to have them onto the pod to talk about legalization on the East Coast soon.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
And their Clubhouse, I think it's every Wednesday, West Coast time, 3 or 5. We usually share it on our Weed and Grub stories. They usually tag us, but it's great because they're 2 lawyers in New York and New Jersey talking about where policy is on the East Coast in Clubhouse, taking questions from anybody in the audience.
Yep.
And when we have them on the pod, maybe we should take questions then too.
Yeah, that'd
and
be great.
throw something out there to answer people's questions, because we always get so many DMs asking us.
Right.
And then we're like, well, let's ask a lawyer. Well, we'll be with some lawyers.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
And you can follow Shirali Patel at Blaze Responsibly and Christina Bucola at CB Counsel on IG. And they're just fantastic. And Shirali's in New Jersey and has been working to get legalized cannabis for a while now. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, jinx.
Thank you.
Jinx.
Thanks.
I get to eat another cookie. That's
Okay.
a big old jinx. Yes.
Fantastic. And also, just all of the other, folks who, some of my colleagues from High Times days and many of the people who I've met over the years who are just like have nonstop advocated for legal weed in the Garden State. Congratulations and thank you. And I can't wait to visit and enjoy some fucking, go over to Hoboken and, find the shop and buy some legal cannabis.
Ooh, that'll be so good.
That's really great.
And shout out to all of our listeners. We got so many great DMs from like Baked by the River and Wanamaca and everyone who's like, I can't believe it. It's a big deal, and it's very exciting to have started this podcast connected with people all over the country, and as their states go legal as well, be able to celebrate with them. For me, that's what Weed and Grub is all about,
And I'm glad you brought up Baked by the River. Follow at Baked by the River on Instagram. They're doing classes teaching people how to make extracts like oil to make your edibles more potent and that kind of stuff. And they're just like really neat folks who know what's up.
Hell yeah, they
and
do.
know what's good.
Yo, this compost cookie, no wonder it's Tosie's #1 milk seller. Mm-hmm. There's a I think this is my ideal cookie before we get into Buds of the Week and our VIB Dave Bienenstock. Mm-hmm. My ideal cookie, big chocolate chunks, some kind of twist on a crunch like a cornflake, something else, something gooey like a caramel or a marshmallow, and then a pinch of fucking salt just to pop you in the mouth every so often. And then an outer edge that is nice and golden brown, an inner ring of soft doughy center. And it needs to be a little bit too big for a glass of milk for dunking, so that you have to like take a bite and wedge it in and take a bite and wedge it in. It shouldn't be able to easily access the glass. It's not going to be a big enough cookie for me.
I would say that this is the compost cookie. Mm-hmm. This is like a Cirque du Soleil of cookies. It's got everything. It's got all of the elements that you just mentioned. And I feel like in my mouth, it's like my mouth has like several stages. And center stage, there's one thing going on. And then downstage over here, there's like a little other contortion routine going on. And then on this other stage, on the other side, There's like a clown being funny, and then you look up into the aerial, and you're like, "There's someone up there doing something on silks too."
Yeah,
It's a lot,
and it's all amazing.
but it's all amazing.
You're like, look over there, look over there.
You don't know where to look. Your mouth doesn't know what to do. Your taste buds are like, "Ooh, over here, salt. Ooh, over here, chocolate. Ooh, 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 crunch." Fucking delicious.
Cirque du Soleil cookie, Cook de Sol, Christos de Soleil.
Yeah, Ben and Jerry's is definitely going to hire you to name their.
I get all the way to the final round. His resume looks great. His palate is exquisite. Let's just see if he can come up with some names.
Can he come up with a name? We would have, in fact, I think Ben and Jerry's should hire us to come up with names for all of their ice cream strains, and Milk should hire us to come up with all the names for their cookie strains, because when we are perfectly stoned and in the pocket and making puns, it's the best time.
Yeah.
We
do nail it quite a bit. We're
Maybe
usually
not
9
nailing
out of
it
10.
right now.
Yeah. But as soon as we hit stop on this, I'll have 9. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. While we do Buds of the Week, in the back of my head, I'm going to be thinking about a Cirque du Soleil cookie pun.
Okay.
And if I don't come up with it, we'll just stop, workshop something, and then come back and
Real
act
quick.
like we thought of it.
Make it natural, though.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
make it natural.
We'll make it real natural, guys. You'll never notice a thing. It'll just be like some weird jump edit, and you'll be like, I don't know what happened. It just seemed... Okay, are we doing Buds of the Week?
Let's do it.
Okay, my Bud of the Week is at Chartown on IG. Our friend Charlotte is a light in my world, and I don't know. We just recently connected over all good things: our love of weed and our love of mushrooms and our love of people in our life. And I was like, I'm so fucking glad I know you, and thank you for staying connected with me and being like an anchor and a great friend. And she's also got an awesome dog named Reggie, who turned 12 today. Shout out Reggie.
Happy birthday, Reggie.
And yeah, she's just a wonderful friend and soul and person, and I love her so much. And I just wanted to shout her out.
That's awesome. Christina de Soleil. All right. My Bud of the Week this week is a adjacent Bud of the Week. So our theme music and outro music and bump music, all of our music for this podcast is done by Jesse Case, who has been in our show notes since Jump. Music by Jesse Case. Another tall, beautiful, handsome, hilarious man.
So how can he have it all?
He has it all.
How can he have it all?
He's got a beautiful family. He's so talented.
Oh
He's
my
so
God.
funny. And
Yep.
he's like 6'2" with long hair that when he throws it back, you're almost feeling like you're in a cologne ad. Hot dude.
Wow.
And he is now, because he is a total package, building a music studio in a barn. So check it out. He's taking the whole thing on Instagram at Outsider Audio. Again, it's at Outsider Audio. And you can follow Jesse Case, and you can follow him turning this big, crazy barn in the middle of a snowy field into a music studio for him and his family and his bandmates. And it's so rad, and he's so talented, and I just feel thankful for him working with us on our music, and now to be able to support him with his big dreams feels good.
And if you want to download the entire track that our theme music is from, it's called Sonoma Coma, and it's it's everywhere. I think you can just look it up on Spotify or iTunes, and you can buy it from Jesse and support him that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's support each other's dreams.
Yeah. Salt and Biscuit.
What? Salt and Biscuit.
Salt and Banco is a famous Cirque du Soleil show, and so I thought maybe we could call it Salt and Biscuit. It's no better than yours. I'm sorry.
No better than
Don't look
mine.
at me like you hate me. Jesus.
It's not that I hate you. It's that neither of us are nailing this.
Damn it.
It's almost like, all right, you guys jump out of the plane and then pull the parachute, and we just like don't
It's just
pull the
two puffs
parachute.
of dust. And we just Wile E. Coyote it all the way down.
Yeah, we just accordion back. Exactly.
Oh, well, it's okay.
When you want to get to our VIB, our very important bud this week?
I do want to get to our VIB. I've known David Bienenstock since I started work at High Times. It's so fucking great to have him on as a guest this week. He's so knowledgeable. He's brilliant. He's funny. He's got a great podcast called Great Moments in Weed History.
I'm going to stop you right there because I want to do a plug before we do plugs at the end of the ep, but they have an awesome episode dropping, I think, this Friday. And I don't want to tip what it's about, but it's a bonus ep that he gave us a sneak peek on, and I'm fascinated by this great moment in weed history. It's going to be so cool.
Amazing. Well, carry on. I mean,
I'll keep going.
Yeah.
I think Bean is such a talented writer. He plays along with everyone so well, which I love in a smoking circle. If you can smoke with someone and they keep it in the air and they're mad funny and get the whole circle to laugh, that's who I want to hang out with. And I would also say that his co-host Abdullah on Great Moments in Weed History, the chemistry between Bean and Abdullah is really second to none on their podcast. So it's a really nice listen.
It's very joyous. It's a lot of like education, but in the best way. Like they are fucking cracking up the whole time. It's great. And also Bean has an amazing book called How to Smoke Pot Properly. He's gone toe to toe with Tucker Carlson on Fox News. He's like one of the most respected cannabis journalists in the game.
100%.
All around cool guy, great friend, fun hang, wonderful interview.
Yeah. I'm delaying because I'm trying to come up with one more cookie Cirque du Soleil pun, and I don't have it. 3-ring cookie.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
fine.
it.
That's it. Oh, man. Without further ado, here is our interview with
David Bienenstock. We have with us today David Bienenstock, co-host of the wonderful podcast Great Moments in Weed History and author of How to Smoke Pot Properly, and my former colleague from High Times Magazine. What's up, Bean?
Oh, wait. I wanted to add straight shooter.
Oh, yeah, straight shooter. An all-around funny person.
And we will always be colleagues, Mary Jane. And
That is
I
true.
am one of the few people who've seen your driver's license and can confirm to the world that it's your real name.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that.
Yo, do you want to talk a little bit about your podcast for those people listening who might not know it but should definitely check it out?
Yeah. So we are Great Moments in Weed History, where we've had 3 seasons so far. We're continuing to put out some special episodes as we get ready for our 4th season, which is upcoming. And each episode of the show, we take a different story from cannabis history, anything from Willie Nelson smoked a joint on the roof of the White House to Napoleon invaded Europe. Sorry. He did.
Yep.
But Napoleon invaded Egypt, and that's how hashish first got to Europe. Or stories about how the Amsterdam coffee shops came into being. All kinds of stories, whether they're about very well-known people or pretty well-known weed people or even sort of hidden history. We really want to tell cannabis history because so much of it has been obscured up till now. And so much of it is under threat of just kind of being greenwashed and rewritten. And people want to feed you this bullshit story that weed legalization happened because big business saw that they could make money, or that politicians wanted to get votes, or all of these stories that really obscure the underground outlaw resistance history that, at least for the past couple decades, we've all lived, and that really goes back hundreds and really thousands of years to the original prohibitions of cannabis. And by looking at it through the great moments, and sometimes the great moments in weed history are a lot about overcoming oppression. People like Brownie Mary, people like Dennis Perone or Wham here in California, who fought the authorities and at great personal sacrifice helped to change these laws. Those are also great moments in weed history. So for every really fun episode we have. For instance, the Louisa May Alcott, who wrote Little Women, also wrote a really funny story about getting completely wrecked on hashish candy.
Awesome.
And we also like to look at our real cultural heroes of our history. And, you know, as Bob Marley said, if you know your history, then you know where you're coming from. And I think for the whole weed culture and industry, that's super important. If you're going to call yourself a weed person, no shame. It's like everybody starts somewhere in their knowledge and understanding, but make that commitment because these stories are inspiring and really get to the heart of, we want cannabis to be a transformative part of society. In my book, I wrote a chapter cannabis should transform capitalism, not the other way around. And in the broader sense, we want to bring the values of this plant and this culture to the rest of the world and not have the rest of the world dictate their frankly shitty retrograde culture onto us.
Preach.
But how do you really feel?
I feel like your vape pen is revolutionizing cannabis and legitimizing marijuana smokers all across the country. That's how I totally feel, and I'm glad to get your press release, and now I know who legitimized cannabis. It was you and your truck stop CBD.
Yeah. Well, I've been in the industry for about 2 years now. Some people would call me an OG.
Oh man, I'm so glad to have this conversation with you because, you've burned so hot and brightly and used that fire in, all of the wonderful ways as a storyteller, as a journalist, as an author for so long. And, your advocacy and your work is just fucking awesome. And I've always been so glad to know you and really, be around to watch you make it. And also the fact that you're putting these people on blast who, for instance, Mike and I were recently privy to, or not privy, we were just on one of these virtual meetings where this guy who's, started a new, his own thing was, making fun of stoners and being like, yeah, it doesn't have to be all like bro and man. And I was like, how can you delegitimize the people who have actually created the industry that you're now profiting from by, saying that these people shouldn't have a voice, that you want to veer away from stoner culture, or that it's about, the luxury brands, or that, the message is no longer about, being whatever the fuck it is. And it's infuriating, but also you're so great because you sort of you take it and you make it into something that people can use as a
weapon
and a way to move forward.
I definitely don't want to be cast as a call out person. I definitely try not to do it to individuals unless it's pretty egregious. But I think that because what's happening right now is, cannabis was always counterculture simply because of the law. But I believe that even when the laws change, there's something inherent in the cannabis experience that is actually the reason that cannabis was prohibited, along with racism, as a part of racism, as a part of this effort to prohibit anything that is a challenge to the status quo. The status quo being predatory capitalism and white supremacy. So anything that challenges that is going to come under scrutiny. Cannabis has been the means of this proxy war for 100 years against people of color, against people with less money, against cancer patients is how far they took it. They hated black people so much that they went after old white cancer patients, And so as we start to move away from this, I would say my biggest overarching thing is you can't forget what happened. Don't let people tell you, these terrible words like thought leader, etc. That's a way to try to continue to marginalize. Weed people can't be marginalized in weed. We've been marginalized in society for so long. And now to get to your point, Mary Jane, about the, that meeting you were in or whatever, people still want to marginalize us, even though we were right about everything, even though we suffered greatly under this oppressive system, which continues in many, many places. Many people who are listening to this podcast still live under some form of prohibition, and yet they want to make us feel other in our own culture. It's very important to always point out the racism and exclusion of the drug war. And I think it's important to make sure that those same systems don't take hold in the cannabis industry. But I am going to pat us on the back as a culture to say, I've been to a lot of weed events. I've met a lot of weed people. And of course, in any group that large, there's individuals that don't share the right values or that have bad thoughts in their head. But by and large, I think it's a very, very inclusive culture. And we just have to make sure that sense of inclusion extends into the industry as it's created and as it builds and as it grows, and especially as it becomes national and international.
What part of the community or the industry do you see as needing the most help along to sort of like come to the table? I mean, I know that I was really startled by a portion of the cannabis community being open Trump supporters, and that was sort of surprising for me to reconcile. Is there a portion of the cannabis community or the sort of weed corporations right now that you see as needing the most sort of outreach to sort of get on board with what we think is the right direction to go in?
Yeah, I think we always have to just live our values as best we can. Is what we can put out. But I think we also have to recognize that like some people are not here to give a shit. Some people are not here because of this plant or this culture, and even if they are, they're bringing with them brain diseases like predatory capitalism. I'm not a capitalist. Maybe it's not a shock to anybody who's listened this far. But if you are, that doesn't mean you're a predatory capitalist. You know what I mean? I'd like to reform the whole system, but even if we're not, we have to recognize like some people just don't have the same goal. So to say that we need to educate them is a bit, that's where I get frustrated, or I will get frustrated when people are like, well, it takes all kinds. Does it? Do we need big pharma types? Now, I've met a lot of people who have said to me, hey, I worked for Big Pharma and I realized it was all bullshit and it was predicated on making the most profit possible from human misery. And so I left because cannabis called to me, whether as a medicine or some experience that I had that changed my perspective. Those are not the people I'm talking about. Those are the people we really, really need to share their expertise with us and help us. And we need to educate, because, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're a Weed and Grub listener, it's likely that you are the most cannabis knowledgeable person in your nexus of humanity. You are the person that somebody is going to call if they might have a question about cannabis as a medicine. You are the person that your friends and family and coworkers are going to look to, hey, is this a good company to work with or for? So be really well educated yourself and share that.
I'm glad we got here because I've been in the cannabis industry now for about 3 weeks, and some people would call me an OG. And I am truly scared for the industry right now because it feels like we're at a pretty crazy inflection point with Schumer saying we're going to drop a bill in the next few weeks, which was a couple weeks ago. But I'm mad concerned about it because I'm spending a lot of time on Clubhouse, and it's a lot of people who all have good ideas of what needs to be done to protect the people in the industry from capitalism and from the government, and like how to work together. And they're all great ideas, but I don't know how any of them are actionable because we're all over the country with our own things going on. And so you just touched on it with like voting for who you want to represent you. But how do you feel? Where are we at? How do you feel about where we're at and what's going to happen in the future? And a fourth question, just because I figured I would ask as many things as possible at once.
Wait, is there a fourth question coming, or that was the fourth question?
Oh, sure. And also, like, how come?
Oh, that's the big word. Well, I'll say this. The most power you can have is through collective action. And wherever you live, whether it's a local organization or a national organization like NORML, like the Drug Policy Alliance, you're going to be able to find people who are already working on this issue, who have expertise and infrastructure in place. And what they really need is some bread if you can spare it. But your help, your participation, these organizations are designed to put you to work, not just pushing for legalization, but pushing for the kind of legalization that at least we all want, which includes home grow, which includes social equity for people and groups of people who have been disproportionately targeted by the war on drugs. So you don't have to do this alone. And you shouldn't, frankly. If this is really important to you, find those groups. You're gonna, and the best thing I could tell you is you're also gonna meet a lot of really cool people who feel the same way as you do. You know, Mary Jane, you know, when we were working at High Times still, when I don't want to get into the past, but when High Times was an independent publication, flaws and all, it was a real place run by real weed people. That is not the case now. But right towards the end of our time there, and as legalization was taking, I'll say it, taking root, there were all these articles that were like, oh, after everybody shitting on High Times forever, everybody in the media, not the many, many people who bought the magazine and gave me the coolest, best job I ever had. I'm talking about people in the media, people in politics, would shit on High Times. And then all these articles came out as soon as the New York Times endorsed legalization, all these articles came out like, oh, wasn't High Times such a thoughtful publication? They figured this out 30 years ago, and they were so ahead of the times. And it's like, no, dude, it was always fucking obvious to anybody that this plant was a medicine. It was always obvious to fucking anybody that nobody should go to jail for it. It was always obvious that this was a proxy for white supremacy and putting people of color in prison and through the criminal justice system. These were not hidden truths. There were no dots to connect. There was one big dot, and it was fucking obvious. And everybody who ignored that truth did so in deference to power. Okay? I understand that there are individual people out there who through propaganda and ignorance truly believed what they were told about cannabis by the government and by the medical establishment. And that's understandable. And those are the people we need to educate and reach out to. But what we don't do is let people off the hook for pretending that this was ever a reasonable public policy that people could reasonably disagree about. This was always what it was. The war on drugs and the war on cannabis were always the pilot program for fascism in the United States. And we saw in the last 4 years an attempt to extend that to everyone. And a lot of people freaked out, quite rightly. Fascism is terrifying. But you needed to have been freaking out about the war on drugs the whole fucking time because it had everything you claim you don't like now. Separating families, racism, all of these elements that we saw come to a head in Trumpism all took hold and took root. The idea, kicking people's door down in the middle of the night and shooting their dogs because they might have a little bit of plant matter. Do you think something might be wrong with our society? And do you think it might be a little bigger than this one plant? I do. And so, we need to learn those lessons even when the laws change.
I think it was right around that time that you're talking about, sort of nearing the end of our time at High Times, was when you went on Tucker Carlson to try and look someone in the eye and have a real conversation on Fox News. What led up to that, and what was that like? I mean, what a wild experience that must have been.
I have to say, I've been on Fox News three separate times, and they were all their own unique experiences. And the Tucker Carlson one, it's like, I had no, you're not gonna say, well, here's some facts, and then he says, oh God, you're right, I was so misinformed. So I'm trying to speak through him past him to the people watching who I know on this one issue don't all agree with him. You know, this issue still divides very non-conventionally compared to other kinds of politics. And part of that is because so many people have a personal experience with cannabis that allows them to see through the propaganda, particularly now, you know. So I'm trying to speak to those people. And sort of the best comments I saw when it was posted by Fox News on YouTube were people who were like, love you, Tucker, but you're fucking wrong about this. You know, I went in with the attitude, if I do this right, they'll never, ever have me back. And I think that gives you a freedom that a lot of the people who are professional TV appearance people, that's not what they want. So they go on TV and they debate, but they debate in a way that they hope they'll be asked back to debate the next thing. And, you know, the only way I can justify even giving any attention to this person is to try to scorch the earth with them. So that's what I did. You can watch it on YouTube. It made my wife very happy. That's always a good thing to do. I just say, you know, I'm always a yell back at the TVer. I don't watch TV news anymore for that reason. But if, you know, it is. This is my favorite Fox News story. I'll just tell you quickly is on a different appearance. It was when Michael Phelps got caught taking a bong hit and somebody took a picture. Remember when that was like the worst thing anyone ever did? And I was on Fox and Friends, and I was on the couch, and it was Steve Doocy and all those people I was only familiar with from clips that were on The Daily Show. But you know these people. And they're talking their fucking nonsense, and I did my thing, and I'm walking off the stage, and there was a camera operator caught my eye as I was walking out, and he gave me the most subtle thumbs up I've ever heard. his thumb went up like a quarter of an inch, and his head nodded a quarter of an inch. And I was like, one, I can't imagine the bullshit this poor human being must have to endure every day just pointing a camera at these lying morons. And two, I was like, okay, I reached the people I'm trying to reach. Like, so that was definitely the best moment I had with Fox News.
I want to kind of wrap up with a big question that has a lot of elements to it. It'll probably be a 5-parter.
More than 4?
Yeah, I think we're getting maybe a 5-6-parter.
Okay, first.
And I'll get out my red string to connect the dots as you talk. What is your ideal future, short term, long term? What do you think the actual future is going to be? And you've talked about racism, capitalism, and all of these things. And so I just want to hear like the ideal versus the truth. And maybe there's a happy medium between the two that we're going to end up at.
Is that it? I only counted 3.
Oh, also,
what's your favorite strain? And
what you snacking on?
What you snacking on?
We didn't get not too much grub.
Not too much grub this time. Well, you'll have to come back.
Yeah,
obviously, we'll have you back. So
grub is better in person.
Yeah.
My ideal, what I like to tell people, if I was the weed czar of the world, would be farmers markets. Would be that, like I said, I not huge on capitalism. Almost everyone in this country is within decent proximity of a farmer's market. All those farmers markets should be selling locally grown weed. They sell wine at my farmer's market. You know, I happen to live in wine country, but like many farmers markets sell beer and wine. It's like the world's not going to end. But what that would create is a way for farmers to sell direct to consumers. That's great for consumers. That's great for farmers. And honestly, that's going to be great for the farmers market because they're going to sell a lot more rutabagas and, green onions and everything. So that's what I would love to see. And that would be in addition probably to stores and brands, like bring it on. If the playing field is level, I think most people would like to look their weed farmer in the eye, smell a bunch of different beautiful cannabis flowers, and hand over, cash and get a nice sack of beautiful, fragrant, perfectly cured cannabis. That's what I'd love to see. I'm hoping that we can get there. I don't, to be perfectly honest with you, see that as something likely in the next couple of years. And I will say this, in California, when the rules were being written, not the law that we all voted on, but the rules, there was a push to have that, to at least have cannabis farmers markets. So maybe it's not in with all the other produce, but maybe it's a different day. And a bunch of, quote, big marijuana people lobbied the California government and killed that law. Fuck you. Like that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. And that's where, I would like to mention that I write a lot for Leafly. They've been a great home to me as a journalist. When I want to write about what's happening now and particularly, pushing back on some of the things we've been talking about, they have been absolutely great in supporting my journalism and giving me a place to reach people, and also in allowing me to write from my perspective. What gives me a lot of hope and what makes me feel like this conversation that we've all been a part of and that I've been trying to push on, and some of these things we've been talking about, is Chuck Schumer, who's now the Senate Majority Leader, is talking very aggressively about moving comprehensive cannabis legislation at the federal level. And just this week, as we're recording, he had a meeting with NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, which has been fighting for our rights going back to the early 70s. The Drug Policy Alliance, one of the most important organizations pushing back against the entire drug war. Students for Sensible Drug Policy, organization of young people, college students that I am a huge supporter of, and the Marijuana Justice Coalition, and the National Cannabis Industry Association, and the Minority Cannabis Business Association. So we have these groups at the table who are pushing not just to legalize cannabis, but to do it in a framework of social and racial justice, to include equity programs, in that we're not going to get everything we want because it is the government. But that is a huge leap forward. That is an almost inconceivable outcome going back 20 years to when I started at High Times. And we were pushed out of every conversation. And so it does give me some hope that this message is getting through, and that this community will be represented as we move from should we legalize, which is binary and obvious, yes, to this much thornier question of how will we legalize, to get to your, I think, third of four questions, Mike. We're not going to, and it is going to be a process, not an event. So we need to push right now to get the best outcome we can in the short term, and then immediately get to work trying to make it better and trying to extend it to everyone. And if I could say one other thing just really quick, if people want to check out a really funny parody of kind of a lot of these weed D-bags we've been talking about, a good friend's show called Dope State is available on YouTube. It's actually about a weed journalist. It's, to me, very funny. So a little plug for a friend.
It's great. I watched it because of the article that you wrote about it for Leafly, and it's truly fantastic. Joyous, wonderful. So, I mean, he's perfect. Some of his impersonations, like sort of Barat style, poking fun of the weed industry through assuming these personalities is truly like a joy. So yes, dope state. Everyone should watch it. So before we wrap up, I know you have a special episode of Great Moments in Weed History coming out soon, right?
Oh yeah, thank you for that. We are between seasons, but we're doing special episodes, and this one is going to come out on February 26th. It is timed to a movie that is going to be released called The United States versus Billie Holiday. And that movie focuses on how Harry Anslinger and the Federal Bureau of Narcotics targeted Billie Holiday for these drug arrests, sent undercover FBN agents to follow her everywhere. Her ex-husband, her abusive, horrific ex-husband, actually worked with Harry Anslinger to set her up for these arrests, and ultimately, planted drugs on her in the hospital. I mean, it's this horrific story about somebody, Harry Anslinger, who is sort of, we like to joke about having friends of the podcast. He is the enemy of the podcast. He is the person who kind of coalesced cannabis prohibition into this federal war on people, and also the larger drug war. One of the worst, most destructive Americans to ever live. Harry Anslinger is just, when you're just kind of first getting stoned, and whether you're younger or older, and you're like, I got to know everything about weed, at some point you're going to hear that name. If you care at all about cannabis history, you're ultimately going to come to Harry Anslinger. But what we like to do on the show is dig really deep, do a lot of research, and kind of tell you the story that you may not know. But your question might be, well, how is it a great moment in weed history around this terrible person? And I will just say, maybe somebody traveled to Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania, and smoked a joint and planted a bunch of weed seeds on his grave. So that's Great Moments in Weed History with Abdullah and Bean. Abdullah is Abdullah Saeed, who you may know as the host of Bong Appetit and a recurring character on High Maintenance on HBO, and Bean is me.
And where can everybody find you on all of the social media platforms that everyone is addicted to, so they should go follow you because they're already holding their phone while they listen to this anyway?
Well, one, you already know what a podcast is, so find Great Moments in Weed History wherever you get your podcasts. And then on social media, we are GMIWH Podcast. And across everything except the ones that we're like too old and lame to know about.
You can find us at Weed and Grub on Instagram. WG@weedandgrub.com is our email. Hit us up for anything at all. Give us a 5-star review. Give Great Moments in Weed History a 5-star review also while you're at it. And this has been a great first hour of being in the cannabis industry. Some might call me an OG.
Mike was literally born at the beginning of this episode.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll talk to you soon, Bean.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much.
Bye everyone. Oh, Jinx.
Jinx.
Jinx.